Hello everyone, this is Frog's COTE Analysis Room. Here we analyze and explain Classroom of the Elite.
Today's video covers the long-awaited release of Classroom of the Elite Year 3, Volume 2, with an analysis and explanation. This second volume of the Year 3 arc runs in parallel with the low-content exam and shines a spotlight on the characters' feelings, especially students' romance and relationships. It also reads like a setup chapter packed with foreshadowing for what's to come. So, let's dig into those hints. First, here's today's lineup. 1. Exam overview and developments. 2. Ayanokoji discovers first love. 3. Other romantic storylines. We'll proceed in that order. Alright, let's get right into it. First, let's review the exam that took place this time. The exam announced to Ayanokoji and the other third years in Volume 2 was simple and brief. The explanation given to Ayanokoji's Class C was as follows. Starting tomorrow, a new exam will begin. The rewards are plus 50 class points for first place and plus 20 for second. Third place sees no change. Fourth place loses 25. Each class's class points will be adjusted accordingly. Full details including how ties are handled will be announced in 1 week. Until then, conduct yourselves as students should. No questions will be taken this time. As you can see, the information was extremely sparse and delivered one-sidedly. The timing was also odd, about 2 minutes before homeroom ended. Teachers like Mashima and Shabashira were even described as sounding somewhat cold as they delivered it. So the students were thrown into this with hardly any info, not even sure whether the exam really started the next day or only after a week. Now, as for what this exam was actually assessing, in short, it was a test of daily conduct. As predicted, it was an homage to the first volume of the first year arc and the first exam they faced. As Ayanokoji mentioned, not a single teacher called it a special exam, they only referred to it as an exam. From that, we can tell it wasn't one of those special exams that demand special preparations. This was an exam that looked at things generally evaluated, as an extension of classes, like sports festivals and written tests. That's why the explanation was minimal and the point swings were small. Now, let's briefly look at how each class reacted. First, in Horikeda's Class A, many classmates expressed dissatisfaction right after the explanation. It seems their frustration had built up from the previous defeat and Ayanokoji's transfer. Amidst this, Horikeda, who was recovering from rock bottom, was treating Kushida and Ibuki to a home-cooked meal as usual. The banter between the three of them at this time was a very well-balanced exchange of insults, and it was hilarious. After their meal, as Horikeda was thinking about Ibuki's table manners, she had a flash of insight that this exam might be about etiquette and daily conduct. From such an unexpected trigger, Ibuki and Kushida have become more indispensable to Horikeda than she could have imagined. Gaining insight from everyday life, she even negotiated with Koenji, who has the most problematic daily conduct. As a result, a deal was struck where Koenji would behave well for 1 week in exchange for 500,000 private points. Thanks to that, Horikeda's class was fully prepared to face the start of the exam the next day. Next, Ryuen's class. They decided on a strategy early. While keeping tabs on other classes, they resolved not to let their own conduct slip. As expected, they figured out the nature of the exam too. Ryuen had already started preparing for what he anticipates will be the next large-scale special exam. In addition to his usual core group, he brought along others who don't normally join discussions, like Tokito, for strategy talks at karaoke, and discussed countermeasures for Ayanokoji. In short, Ryuen's PAS also correctly identified it as a daily conduct exam and acted accordingly. Now let's look at the developments in the protagonist's class, Ayanokoji's class. After hearing Mashima's explanation, Ayanokoji immediately suspected the exam was about observing their daily conduct, and immediately relayed that to his classmates. His efficiency and insight are impressive as ever. Furthermore, the next day, from Horikeda's Class A and Ichinochi's Class D respectively, he obtained information on what the teachers had said during the exam explanation.
and their strategies, increasing the accuracy of his analysis. At that time, Chabashira-sensei told her class, "Show me you're not who you were when you first enrolled." And Hoshinomiya-sensei told her class, "If you act as you normally do, you'll be fine." This exam appears to homage the first exam in year 1, which took place between April and May. Each class received a comment that corresponded to their results from back in the first year. So Horikeda's class, rated lowest in year 1, heard, "Show me you're different from when you enrolled." And Ichinochi's class, known for good conduct, got, "You'll be fine if you act like you normally do." From the words spoken to each class, Ayanokoji was almost certain the exam was about observing their daily conduct. As for the source of information from Horikeda's class, which Ayanokoji called a trade secret, the most likely candidate is undoubtedly Kushida Kikyo. Kushida cooperates with Horikeda on the surface, but also acts to secure her own graduation from Class A. In fact, in her official Year 3 site comment, you can read a line that suggests she accepted a deal with Ayanokoji and passes him information. So the simplest and strongest possibility is that Kushida shared it. Matsushita Chiaka could also plausibly be an informant, given her history and circumstances with Ayanokoji. Who exactly is the mole in Horikeda's class is something to pay attention to in upcoming volumes. In any case, Ayanokoji obtained information from this informant and from Ichinochi and concluded that the exam was almost certainly about gauging their daily conduct. He instructed them only to be thorough about that, adopting a policy of having them act naturally to avoid unnecessary stress. Ayanokoji's way of thinking, eliminating waste where possible, while also caring for the students, is flawless, isn't it? Finally, Ichinochi's class also adopted a very straightforward strategy. They passed information to their ally Ayanokoji, and when he told them the exam was about daily conduct, they didn't resort to any clever tricks and had everyone live their lives as usual. Ayanokoji's and Ichinochi's classes, which already have good conduct, figured that acting naturally would be more effective than trying to come up with some half-baked strategy. It seems they also avoided any unnecessary measures. With all classes correctly reading the intent, everyone put reasonable measures in place. As for the results of this tight contest, Ichinochi's class took first, Horikeda's and Ryuen's tied for second, and Ayanokoji's class came in last. Ayanokoji's class had been doing well until the last day, but on the day detailed rules were announced, Rokaku and Yano were absent due to illness. As a result, they ended up in last place. Class point changes were as follows. With Horikeda and Ryuen tied for second, they split the reward and each gained plus 10 CP. Last place Ayanokoji's class took minus 25 CP, and first place Ichinochi's class gained plus 50 CP, bringing totals to Horikeda's Class A 1240 CP, Ryuen's Class B 1081 CP, Ayanokoji's Class C 867 CP, Ichinochi's Class D 864 CP. Ayanokoji's and Ichinochi's classes are now almost equal. However, since Ichinochi's class is slightly lower, it seems likely that in the next large-scale exam, Ayanokoji's class will concede victory, leading to a situation where Ayanokoji's class drops to Class D. That said, the target will probably be Ichinochi first, Ayanokoji second, so I'm looking forward to seeing this alliance dominate. In the afterword, Kinogasa-sensei said the next volume will be that annual thing, so Volume 3 will almost certainly be the uninhabited island exam. I'm really looking forward to the next volume, including whether or not it will be a joint exam for all school years.
Next up, we'll talk about the romantic relationships that developed in various places in Year 3, Volume 2. First is Ayanokoji's first love, which was a main plot point of Volume 2. He was honestly more deeply and properly in love than I expected, a real surprise. It's a shift in emotion you could never have imagined from him before. In Year 2, Volume 12.5, Ayanokoji rejected the invitations from Hiyori and Izaki and transferred to Class C, which Sakayanagi had left, and we saw a scene where he regretted that he missed out on a future where he could have accepted Hiyori's invitation and enjoyed school life. Also, since his transfer, he hasn't had a chance to talk properly with Hiyori and felt bad for hurting her. And in Volume 2, his desire to go to the library to meet and talk with her comes through very strongly. Because he had just become class leader, he was busy studying his classmates' personalities and preparing for the new exam, so he struggled to find time to see her. The fact that he kept wanting to go to the library just to see Hiyori marks a clear departure from the Ayanokoji we knew. He finally recognized that this irrational thinking is in fact romantic feeling. When he finally got a chance to talk at length with Hiyori, he simply wanted to make her happy. So he gave her a single poppy she had seemed to want. He burned the image of Hiyori happily holding it and the red-dyed sunset into his memory, so he would never forget it. It's really true romantic feelings, isn't it? In the language of flowers, the poppy carries many positive meanings, such as compassion, comfort, and a premonition of love. So overall, it's a positive symbol. Just like that, Hiyori has boldly leapt to the top of the Ayanokoji heroine rankings. But this is COTE, and this is Ayanokoji, so recognizing his feelings doesn't mean he will simply start dating her. Ayanokoji refers to himself with his newly sprouted romantic feelings as an experimental subject, saying he wants to tear everything apart, himself, Hiyori, everything, to pursue the answer to the very end. Even while listening to Hashimoto's strong warning, he says he won't stop this impulse. First love in COTE is an element that has rarely been fulfilled and tends to go in a bad direction. As Ayanokoji learns more about emotions, there is a very real chance people around him will suffer. How this first love will affect his relationships and how it will change him is something to look forward to. Even in his comment on the official website, he said that by understanding emotions, it's easier to control others, so I'm a little scared of what's to come. If possible, I'd like for Hiyori to find happiness with Ayanokoji. Now, from here, let's also look at the tangled romantic affairs of the students that saw significant movement in Volume 2. First, in Ayanokoji's class, both Yoshida Kenta and Shimazaki Ikane like Shirishi. Leaving Yoshida aside, it turns out Shimazaki also has feelings for her. He has felt that way for quite a while, and his read on Shirishi seems even sharper than Yoshida's. Shimazaki also suggests Nishikawa, a girl, may have feelings for Shirishi too, making it look like the space around Shirishi is a tangle of crushes. Given that Shirishi herself is, in a sense, head over heels for Ayanokoji, the chances of those other feelings getting fulfilled off are slim. But it's worth watching how these romantic feelings will affect Ayanokoji and Shirishi in the future. Next, Hasebi and Ayanokoji. Hasebi feels guilty, thinking it was her fault that Ayanokoji transferred out of their class, and this time she was telling Ayanokoji about that and about how Sakura is doing her best in the outside world. At that moment, Ayanokoji pretended to be interested, considering how to win over Hasebi. He's the same as ever. In the end, Hasebi unconsciously reverted to calling him by his old nickname, Kyopan, and it feels like she's starting to lower her guard again. While it's unclear if Hasebi will develop romantic feelings for Ayanokoji, it's easy to imagine the future where Hasebi is used as Ayanokoji's new informant. Ayanokoji has also made a promise to meet with Hasebi again in the future, and his intention to win her over as a spy in Horikita's class is crystal clear. I'm scared of what will happen to Hasebi's future. It seems like it could end tragically. Next, Kaneda's feelings for Hiyori. Kaneda's likability went up a lot this time, didn't it? His view of love is very pure. He compares his looks to Ayanokoji's handsome face and feels envy, yet he still tries. It reads like a very grounded high schooler's crush. These kind of romantic depictions are one of the best parts of COTE, and they are elements that can become important in future developments. Judging from Kaneda's official comment from the website, you can read that he senses danger looming for Hiyori and feels anger. So the relationship between Kaneda, Hiyori, and Ayanokoji might be something to pay attention to in the future. Besides this, in Volume 2, we also saw Watanabe, who is in love with Amakura, considering joining the gym, and Akiyama-san, a gym employee, starting to take an interest in the teacher Mashima-sensei. It became a volume where a strum of love was brewing in various places. Since romance is inseparable from COTE's plot, I want to keep tracking these storylines too. That wraps today's summary of Year 3, Volume 2, and its romance threads. As expected from an author who originally created PC games that emphasize character interactions, I felt that the depiction of these character banters and romantic relationships is extremely well done. While the exam itself was quiet, various relationships showed progress, making it a very good volume. The next volume looks like it will be turbulent, so I'm looking forward to it.
We have other videos where we do in-depth analysis, so we'd be happy if you check those out as well. On this channel, we plan to continue posting videos focusing on COTE analysis and explanations. Uploads are extremely irregular due to the channel owner's schedule, but if you found this helpful or interesting, please subscribe. We also post thoughts about COTE on our X account. We'd be happy if you followed via the link in the description. We'll then see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.